Okay, I might upload this. I haven't quite decided yet, but I just kind of want to walk through some thoughts on the UAP phenomena and this idea that has been promoted and now is very clearly being promoted more so than ever that these invaders, this existential extraterrestrial threat is little green guys in flying saucers, or whatever form that they take, or even the Tic Tacs that have been reported so much and that there's so much footage of. Uh, Honestly, those Tic Tacs to me are like 98% reverse engineered Lockheed Martin technology, and if not Lockheed, some type of shadowy organization that's in correspondence with the government. I I still have not yet decided whether or not all of the popular encounters and crash recovery efforts and things of that nature are manipulation. I don't know how old this part of the play is. The play is very old, but this aspect particularly is something I haven't quite decided on yet. But I've had a fair share of personal encounters with what I believe to be extraterrestrials, and maybe the word, what's the term? Not hyperterrestrial.
The word I was looking for here is ultra terrestrial.
Anyway, the idea that the entities exist in dimensions either above or below the one that we reside in our flesh bodies on this elemental planet. I don't know. Most of my encounters have been feeling very strong emotions and seeing some peculiar flashes in the sky and some peculiar movement in the sky. I've only had a couple of daytime encounters, actually. I have now had 3 daytime encounters, all of which they have a similar mechanism of just kind of phasing away. Like they'll just, like in the old in SpongeBob when they try to synthesize the burger and it just kind of fades away afterwards. You know, it's that. But it was at least apparently a tangible craft during the daytime. Like they were metallic looking. They cast a reflection. But I've only had a few of those. I've had something in the neighborhood of 40 now encounters, both by myself and with friends and partners at night. Now, I didn't really entertain the reptilians for a long time because it's so like it's so far out to our normal paradigm. But I'm at the point now where if I entertain one aspect of the grand conspiracy, I kind of have to at least look at and acknowledge every aspect, besides flat Earth. Everyone knows the Earth is hollow. But yeah, I'm have come to believe that the reptilians are some form of extra dimensional, perhaps from the lower astral realm, have beings that have come here to feed off of our soul energy. I've heard a lot of words for it recently. Our vril, our loosh, our essence, our soul essence, and that is the spiritual warfare that is happening and has been happening. That is the invasion. And I've only come across that stuff, or rather, I've only really gone into that stuff on a more serious and research-based level in the past few months, but I posed myself this question earlier, and this is the main reason why I wanted to record this. If there were to be an incredibly advanced, multi-dimensional race who wanted to invade and take over this planet, why the fuck would they show up in physical crafts? Why would they make themselves obvious? Humans are good at espionage. Imagine what these things that have 10 times, 100 times our intellect and technology and understanding of the laws of the universe, what they would do. I really don't think they would show up in a fucking saucer and be like, hey, we're taking over. That's just silly. It's destructive. Especially if the motivation is to feed off of us, to leech off of our essence. And there, there is also the case of panic response, the adrenochrome harvesting situation, and I do think that is related, but different modality for a similar type of thing, and perhaps a more gross manifestation of the same type of process. But no, of course they would hide themselves. Of course they would shapeshift and take our forms and take our bodies and take our souls to manipulate us. Of course they would let us think that everything's fine. That's the best way to do it. There's no more logical way to do it than that, because then you can control. Then you can steer everything behind the wheel. Like the political theater is exactly that. Then you have to ask who pulls the strings, and this may well be the answer. More and more, I'm leaning towards this being the answer. And there are all these prophecies of population control, like keeping the population below 500 million. I believe that was the Bible that referenced that.
Incorrect. It was actually the Georgia Guidestones, which states maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Funnily enough, this was bombed and permanently demolished in 2022 for some reason.
But yeah, it makes perfect sense too. Start another war, start a nuclear level conflict, or stage an invasion where people are given the ultimatum of, hey, you can go with these fake ETs and be saved, where they actually will be harvested, or they blow up and die and are living in fear and trying to always run from things on the planet until the population gets down. So that way you have both the energetic and spiritual element of harvesting, but you also have the physical harvesting. Because once these humans are on these crafts, they're totally at the whim of whoever is actually in control of the craft. So who's to say that they won't have all of their organs and blood and adrenochrome harvested from them? It's genius. Truly. It's honestly, I don't think it's something that a human mind could have done. I really do think, and that is one of the most damning and convincing pieces of evidence to me is that idea. Like, how possibly could a human mind conceive of a multi-thousand-year plan, or even multi-hundred-year plan, to control the entire populace without some type of external assistance from a highly motivated being who really, really, really has something to gain from doing that? That's crazy, man. But it's not. That's the stuff. That's the stuff, dude. Just living in that paradox, bro. Like, all right, I'm still gonna go run favor today. I'm still gonna go do fucking deliveries today, so I can pay my rent to my landlord. Fuck, and get coffee from Starbucks. God damn. Oh man. And there are certainly dimensional presences here that we can't see and perceive with our five senses, our physical senses, which rely on elemental bodies to be able to perceive anything, and then these things that come in are not necessarily elemental, so it takes a different degree of sensory recognition and ability. It's so much data outside of the typical human scope, and I've experienced it, I've lived it, I've had an entity nest in me for years, and I was totally oblivious to it, totally and completely oblivious to it, even though it showed me that it was coming into me. I watched it enter my body under the influence of DMT. I drank it willingly. I could have said no. It gave me the opportunity to say no. Trickster entities are very insidious because they're intelligent and they're cunning. Even as recent as a couple of months ago, right before this thing was expelled from me, I talked to it. I felt it in my mind. It would convince me that it was this thing that it wasn't, and that it was actually beneficial. And I won't go into exact detail, but I agreed to let it stay. And it said, "You're smart. You're smart for letting me stay. It's good for you that I stay." But what it was doing was fucking loosh harvesting me hard, feeding off of my sexual trauma and keeping me blind to its food source, because of course it would. Why would you ever want your prey, who is severely limited in capacity to travel dimensions or be even aware of your presence, to be aware of your presence? Expand that out. Why would a bunch of parasitic entities or threatening entities ever want to reveal themselves physically? That's so silly. Oh, and the genius there is manifold, because a large portion of the population, and this is the biggest one, a large portion of the population doesn't even believe things that they can't see or experience with their five senses. And I can't even be here and say that's unreasonable, because that's all that they know. That's their whole reality. And you literally create your perception of the reality, and basically do kind of create the reality you live in, even unintentionally. These beings have a really good understanding of that. B, even if you have a recognition that they exist, how are you then supposed to recognize and defend yourself against them if you have no knowledge of magic, if you have no knowledge of defensive psionics, if you have no knowledge of any of the toolkits that they even use? Excuse me. Most people still think magic is fucking card tricks, bro. Most people. Oh man. And I'll be optimistic and say maybe most people are willing to believe this stuff, but they don't know where to start, because the secret keepers have kept their secrets for so long. Because all of these lineages for so long have incubated these teachings so that they're not, let's say, bastardized or watered down. Then that creates the problem of, oh shit, now we have a whole populace that doesn't understand. And actually, interesting, this just came to me. I have no evidence to back this, but interesting to think that perhaps these techniques were actually given by some higher dimensional or extraterrestrial being, and when told to whoever the first keeper of this knowledge was on this planet, was made to keep it secret, and was told to keep it secret so people don't hurt themselves. But actually, it was, hey, keep it secret so nobody knows how to defend against us. Twofold. I think both of those things are true, but man, fuck. God damn. Shit. Oh, fuck, man. So how to resist? That's the other hard thing is there's no one right answer, and a lot of people are going to have to die or suffer or continue to be harvested. It just kind of is what it is. If we're looking at serious resistance and expulsion of this presence from our planet, even in the next 20 to 50 years, a lot of people are going to have to die, and a lot of people are going to die having no idea what's going on. I don't yet I don't yet have a way to conceive it being possible to save the entire population, um, while also like really driving these things away. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just kind of a harrowing thought process. And if I had to die, if Ocel, if this meat suit has to die in order to facilitate that, then, whatever. Not that I'm trying to be a messiah of any type. That's just boring. It's boring. I already kind of, in a lot of ways, I am that in my life now. Everyone comes to me for advice and questions and healing, and it's really refreshing to now, having this entity gone, being able to dive into some of my own wounds and realizing, hey, like, you're not as healed as you fucking thought you were. Time to get a little humble, you know. You have your own internal work to be doing, while also having all these other things coming at you. What an overwhelming thing, which is by design. Oh man, if only our populace was taught from a young age, like in school, instead of school being a bunch of fucking goy slop information that nobody uses, um, having it be, here's how you confront your shadow, here's how you deal with emotions, here's how you perform basic defensive magic, here's how you keep your aura clear, here's how you love others, here's how you operate in this world. Understanding it's not just your five senses. There is things beyond the material. But that in itself is a huge battle. And honestly, I think if that can be accomplished, then humanity has won. But to do that on a large scale with all that we have in place now is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of time. And I am compelled, really honestly, just because it's satisfying to me, and really not much other reason. I'm compelled to do my part and do the work to help that happen. And I'm young. I'm still got a whole lot of years, even in the normal human lifespan, assuming I don't pass from some type of assassination attempt or car crash or smoking too much. uh, that problem I'm nipping in the butt now, though. Uh, I could well live and do a lot of work for another 100-ish years, maybe longer. I mean, certainly I could stretch my life to live to be 200 or 300, if not beyond that, if I really put my mind to it. But that also might not be strictly necessary. Nothing is really strictly necessary, but for the scope of the work. I do like this body. This is a good one. This is one of the better ones I've had. I had a really nice one when I was the Rastafarian in Jamaica. I don't know when that was. I haven't actually made a whole lot of inquiries into that life, but I was that, and I was fucking jacked, and I had dreadlocks down to my feet. It was amazing. Anyway, I think I've covered all the ground that I have the capacity to. This has been Holographic Simulacrum. Thank you.